Welcome back to all participants. We are now going to start for April in Goa. And I would request all our speakers on stage to please mute themselves for the time being. And when I come to you, I request you to please unmute yourself. So let's get started. A quick introduction about the session that we're going through now, which is on heat rate modeling in thermal power plants. Now, operational flexibility is turning out to be a paradigm shift for conventional thermal power plants when power demand keeps fluctuating and due to the integration of renewable energy sources with the existing power grid. In order to improve the performance of TPP, it's necessarily to adopt performance monitoring and heat rate improvement. After the actual heat rate is calculated and understood, losses must be identified and reduced. So what are the latest technologies and methods for system analysis to determine the possible losses for the degradation of TPP heat rates? Please welcome our speakers who will be giving their presentations. I'll introduce all of them first. Mr. Amol Mahale, Vice President, Lanco Power Limited, Mr. Sameer Ranjan Swain, Chief Engineer, Jindal Steel and Bar, Mr. Manoj Varsayan, the Head EEMG NTPC Limited, and we'll soon be joined by Dr. Sundara Raman, the Technical Advisor at Geotech Process Equipment Private Limited. I would request Mr. Mahale to please kickstart the proceedings and take us through his presentation.
Yeah, thank you, madam. And good morning and welcome to all the participants in this program of heat rate modeling.
Mr. Mahale, would request you to turn on your camera if you can.
Okay. If in case anybody don't turn on their camera, the recordings will not happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So thanks to Mission Energy also for creating this platform and giving us the opportunity for sharing this information and certain amount of the knowledge in this platform. To begin with, let me give a slight background from where I'm giving this presentation. I'll take a couple of seconds in this regard, and I'm putting on this slide. 1 minute, I'm sharing this slide. Screen sharing is happening now? Hello?
Yes.
Yes, screen sharing is there, Mr. Mahale. We can see your presentation.
Okay, thank you.
You have to select your presentation here. You have to click on the PDF or PPT file that you have opened.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you have to screen
Is it
that.
okay now?
Yes, you have to full screen that.
Okay. Thanks. So I'm discussing this subject from the Lanco Amarkantak Power Limited, which is 2 into 300 megawatt power plant at Korba, near Korba, and the equipment, main BTG boiler and turbine, are Dongfang equipments. To give some highlights about the management practices, the quality management system here is certified with ISO 9001:2015. The system is with version of 2015. Occupational health and safety management system is ISO 45001:2018, and energy management system is with ISO 50001:2011. This plant was audited for the safety British Safety Council in 2017 and received the 5-star rating with the SORDA. And the lab is certified with NABL certified coal lab established here. Coming back to our subject, heat rate, we are discussing entire things in the parlance of the coal-based power plant. So we are all aware about the kind of the falling tariff, excess power generation capacity, challenges we are facing into terms of challenging CRC norms, and competitive market. To sum up, in this, the low-cost producer will only going to survive. So it is very important how the low-cost producer means the cost of generation should be less, and heat rate plays a very important factor. As such, heat rate is a two-word sentence, but it is related with the entire gamut of O&M business in terms of plant availability, efficiency, then O&M cost, and aux power. So when we talk of the developing a model, then we have to take all these aspects into the consideration while developing the model. And we have to focus on the long-term success of the plan, and that depends on the internal rate of return. These statistics I am just discussing just to highlight like how important these heat rate controlling, heat rate, aux power, efficient plant load factor, maintenance practice, and O&M practices, how they are increasing the internal rate of return. For example, the plant availability factor is 5%. Comes down by 5%, reduction in the internal rate of return comes by 17%, whereas 1% increase in the aux power will have a negative impact of 6% of internal rate of return. 4% in the specific will have effect of 3%, and 20% increase in the O&M cost will have a 0.6% negative impact of the internal rate of return. So what is O&M cost is this O&M activity itself will determine how efficiently we are working on the availability, PLF, aux power, and heat rate. And its cost impact is not that. So it is now the plant professionals, managers, engineers, they have to take certain decisions with respect to various practices to be followed, which are established into the industry. And also with their plant, they can come and work on it. For that, we are seeing here a kind of a model, which we have done some work at the Lanco American, and which I am going to share with you here. This is a software-based interactive graphical tool. So, objective is to economic impact on O&M decisions and actions. Different aspects of O&M effectiveness are captured here in economic terms. And this model is developed with the help of the graphic software and to appreciate the economic impact of the technical managerial decisions in O&M parlance. As I already said, heat rate is a two-word, but it has a, we have to take into consideration entire O&M activities available, established into the industry to make this model. So what we have done it here is that, or we can do, every plant will have its own dimension. Not necessarily all the formulas or everything relationship which we are going to discuss here will be identical. But in general, the concept will be the same. Every one has to see the measurements of their respective plants and establish a relationship and put into the model. So various controllable factors, plant parameters, O&M practices, and decisions are captured. Then next step, design and best achieve parameters are identified of particular plant. So design parameters are always given by OEM, and best achieved we have what we are experiencing in given different conditions. Then gap analysis was made. The relationship was established in the term of the formulas, and then they are put into the to sensitize the plant engineers the importance of these deviations from the best achieved or from the designs, and what is the impact. We will sensitize them. This model helps in sensitizing as well as management decision process becomes simpler. If you think of like changing the cooling tower fields, so what will be the impact of that, and what will be the cost? If we go for the coal blending, so what will be the cost impact and what are the benefits? So somewhere one has to do the trade-off. So what amount of the blending needs to be done? What type of a coal, because all the plants are not getting linkage coal. So in many plants, different coal is being sourced. So there are many areas where we have to take certain decisions. Sometimes we have to clean the condenser tube. Do we need to take outage? What amount of the losses are happening presently? Or sometimes there are seasonal advantage we can take. So are we taking it? Are we with the best achieved earlier? So those kind of decisions, awareness needs to be generated. And this model has done that with the help of converting those all parameters into economic terms. So what has been done is that these models are based on certain parameter deviation. Most of the thermal power plant engineers are aware about the parameter deviation. The list of the parameters which are important, which has a significant impact onto the heat rate, aux power, are already identified by the OEM, and design curves are given by them. So we can always, efficiency engineers always make the relationship, we can establish, convert them into the formula. So those all parameters are captured and they are converted into formulas and put into the model. Then there are various operational practices. And number of operational best practices are prevalent to the industry based on their plant situations, and they are maintaining it. As well as there are standard maintenance practices, best practices are available. There are equipment optimization strategies people are following. So these are the areas which we have thought of and putting into the model by doing some experimenting, by doing certain measurements and finding our results while developing this model. The similar things can also be applied in any other plants. Then management of seasonal changes. Objective is to reduce aux power or improve heat rate conditions.
Mr. Mahale, just to
Yeah.
interrupt you, your PPT is not visible.
Not at all visible. Okay. 1 minute.
You need to have the PPT on your screen showing.
PPT was on the screen, but let me go back. I will share it. Screen. I have to keep the PPT open and then share screen like that.
When you sharing your PPT, the PPT should be visible to you, not the Airmeet screen.
I was seeing the PPT actually. I'm seeing that.
Maybe it have, can you reshare it again?
Okay. I will write share. Share. 1 minute. Oh. Share entire screen. It is coming. That I will click application window. What?
Entire screen also an application, whatever you are comfortable.
But share button. Okay. Now he is showing stop sharing, but now then I have to open PPT. Now it is okay.
No, yeah.
Screen is visible.
Yeah.
PPT.
Now just select your PPT.
PPT is open now.
No. Give few seconds. Select the PPT from the bottom.
Yeah, it is selected. It has come on the screen, and
your screen is getting shared, sir. Not the PPT. Select the PPT from down.
Anyway, but I'm doing that. So can we continue with this, or we'll try some again? This one. I opened this PPT on the screen, so it should have gone actually. I'll do stop sharing and again do a bunch.
Yeah, it came and it went off. Yeah. Stop sharing and do it again.
Okay. First enter screen, share, and then I'll open PPT. Now? Now?
Yeah. Yeah, it's done.
Okay. based power plants. So part load operation is happening and certain optimization strategy operation has to make. And then that whether we are doing the best way achieved or not, this can be put into the model and see the impact on the aux power point of view or heat rate point of view. The management of seasonal changes also we can do. Then there are ash handling plant utilization factor, APH leak factor, coal loading. All these aspects are captured into the CHP loading, captured into the model. And then they are converted into some gains with respect to the aux power and heat rate. And then they are further calculated into the, they can be calculated into financial impact of assessment on that. Similarly, specific oil consumptions in the plant, fuel consumption, and diesel consumption in the entire plant. Lubrication oil consumption may be annually in the plant. So water, specific water consumption. These parameters, these informations are captured and their relationships are established based on the measurement done at the site, on the best achieved and or the design recommended. Then coal blending and as well as chute blowing. So in the chute blowing also we have done some modeling in the sense that no flux sensors is required, but based on the temperature profiles into the flue gas path, steam temperature and flue gas temperature, it is calculated the heat absorptions, and based on that heat absorption we have done some cleanliness factor which is calculated, which is the maximum heat absorption which is considered as one immediately after AOH in the stabilized condition, annual overall. And then based on that certain triggers are made. This will help in doing the smart flowing chute optimization. It's very simple technique, but we can use this. We can see that cleanliness factor coming down and we can try. So optimum chute blowing frequency can be decided on based on that. So coming back to parameter deviation, if we go inside to that, like I will read it to like various parameters like air preheater, leak factor, main steam temperature, reheater, superheater spray, vacuum. I will not go into the formulas for each. These formulas are generally given by every OEM into their manuals. We can convert them those curves into the formulas and we can calculate the impact on their heat rate or aux power, and then further it has been calculated into financial term. The leftmost corner, left top corner is that kind of a screen comes here to enter the values, and we get a calculated cost impact rupees per day on that. So reheater's temperature, DM water consumption, unburned carbon, terminal temperature difference, exit gas, flue gas temperature, etc. are covered into these parameter deviations. So just one snapshot of this, like we enter the values of these parameter deviation, turbine inlet pressure, inlet temperature, superheater spray, reheater spray, condenser vacuum, air preheater inlet oxygen. Then certain values, kind of a coal use, cost of the coal, we have to fix it and we have to give it to the model, and model will give us the where are we now in terms of the cost. This. And if we can do some what if analysis also, we can change these values and see the impact on the cost as a point of academic purpose. At the same time, we can also see the where are we presently available now. Similarly, we can drill down to the individual deviations in cost impact, like only cost impact of the condenser vacuum deviation. That can also be seen into this model. Secondly, there are certain operation practices like economics of specific DM water consumption, economics raw water, because these are less of more of monitoring, measurement and control kind of actions where how the operations is efficiently working. Raw water consumption, wastage are reduced. Then cost impact of the part load operation, single mode and sequential mode operation turbine. Then economics of number of CW pumps, CT fans we are operating. So what were the best achieved earlier that has been put into the model. Similarly, specific power consumption CHP and economics of ash handling plant utilization operating. So coming to this cost optimization in equipment running over due to technical minimum of back down, that I said that nowadays we are getting back down. So different plants have a different strategies. So if we can capture all those strategies, we can always evaluate our performance. Are we availing all the options available with us judiciously in reducing our expenditures when we are running at the minimum load. Like running up number of CW pumps, running up BFPs, number of BFPs, cooling tower. Some plants they go for the ID fan shutdowns or PA fan shutdowns. So those combinations it has been put here, and their impact assessment on the cost is calculated. Similarly, the cost impact of condenser DM water makeup that individually we can also do. So likewise, for every deviations, the models are made, and also the collectively all one shot we can do that. Then there are seasonal changes. There are summer time, winter time. So again, it has a similar kind of judgment has to be made like low load operation. So we may go for OCCW, a reduction in number of, so if the winter time is there. Similarly, cooling water, number of cooling water from CT fans. So how we are operating, and we can compare with the base statute in them. So, and then their numbers can put into the model, and we will come to know that yes, during these seasonal changes, today we have optimized our operation such a way that this much amount of cost benefit we have received with respect to our base statute earlier, like that. Or we are at par with them, or we are losing which we had earlier done better, that kind of thing. So this is what the screenshot comes into the system, and it develops, which is developed. Actually, these are all experimentally measurement done, aux power consumption done, and their impact onto the process and heat rate and vacuum are calculated internally, and then small formulas are made in-house for the plant for these kind of actions. Similarly, part load management, which I have discussed, the similar kind of formulas and action items can be made. And here one can add the PA fan optimization or ID fan optimization also, and they can put into the formulas and see their performance and appreciate their own actions, whether they are doing at par with their base statute, or they can do better, or they are falling short of that. Because there are many best practices, one has to take decisions. There are a lot of expenses involved into it. For example, if you take, sometimes there is a high-speed motor is involved, and one can reduce the cost of the one can reduce the aux power by replacing high-speed motor. So one has to with the low-speed motor. So one has to do a trade-off between like what is the cost of the motor and what will benefit I will get out of it. Similarly, as I said earlier, that coal blending has a significant impact on the auxiliary power as well as cost of the coal and heat rate altogether. So what is the best blending ratio one can have? One can do this in this modeling. They can fit the values, fit the target calorific value which we require, an amount of the coal blending and various coal blending options available, and see benefits we can have. Similarly, sometimes CEP they want to reduce some people want to put the BFD, or they want to remove the stage, or if the gear ratio of the BFP can be changed. But unilaterally taking that decision, if a model is available, we can put those values and see, yes, cost is this and this reduction will have impact on this. So this will help in putting the engineers to understand, the management that this action is beneficial this way, and also it helps the management to take the decision more effectively by spending money. Then there are economics of specific consumption. When we talk of the O&M practice in the power plant, we have to find out certain indices where we compare them with the best achieved in the industry or their own plant or the design values. So those are all captured wherever we can do that, and wherever we can put some relationship established, formula established, like specific fuel consumption. This is very straightforward. Then specific coal. Then lubrication oil consumption. Some heaters are not serviced, so the OEM always given like this particular heater is not serviced, what will be the impact on the heat rate of that. Then drift losses of the cooling tower. So certain measurements are carried out and their formulas are established. Then clarified water consumption. So we can always take what was our best clarified water consumption last month and what this month, and what is the cost of that, and then we can see, yes, I consume this much meter cube of water more, but also this is the cost impact of that this much. Then economics of specific power consumption, like mill versus roller replacement. So this model will help us to find out, like, when we take a decision to replace the roller, so it's a huge cost, 70 lakhs rupees, and then outage taking, and then the maintenance cost involved into it. But there has certain triggers are identified, like specific power consumption of that particular mill or fineness factor. So those factors are put, and we try to establish the relationship on the cost benefit of that. For example, we are talking ash handling plant utilization factor. This is purely based on the amount of running hours ash handling plant is taking rest or continuously running, and then the amount of the auxiliary power consumption out of that with respect to the best achieved. And then cost impact is assessment. So we can always sensitize the local engineer, see if effectively handle, we can take up to design like 6 hour operating, 2 hour rest. If this is the regime, then we have to do, we are okay, or otherwise if we are exceeding, we are coming to loss of this amount. Basic concept is the converting all these parameters into the financial terms and establishing relationship on that. Then I already discussed, like if we talk about the big model in-house, we have developed and try to establish a relationship, such as like every coal impact in the change in the coal quality and blending, like we know the hydrogen calorific value will change when we do the blending. Then while after doing blending, then there is a specific coal consumption will also change. It has an impact on the heat rate also. Then moisture, impact of the moisture and ash. All these aspects are considered into the model, and trade-off is made between the benefits and the cost of the blending happening. So if we see the economics of coal blending, what are the elements like design coal calorific value, what we have, the expected calorific value, what we are targeting, existing heat rate, what is going on. These are the inputs parameters there into the model. Then cost of the linkage coal, the cost of coal used for the blending, which we have options. So one can enter those values and see different. If you have 2-3 types of coals available for blending, what is their cost? Then also what are the ingredients of those coal? Then unit capacity, then moisture in the coal used in the coal blending, moisture in the link coal. All these values we have to put into it. Then hydrogen in linkage coal. Then cost of generation. Then with that we have calculated the impact on the heat rate as well as the auxiliary power if the various blending regimes are considered. So this is a very easily, if your thought is given, relationship can be easily established with the available empirical formulas or curves given by the OEM, and they are brought together. So you can see just one small example how the aux power will impact due to the moisture also. Aux power impacts onto the heat rate that is given by OEM, but by experiment or certain thumb rule, like if 6% reduction in the moisture will impact FD fan aux power by 4%, PA fan aux power by 1.6%, ID fan 3.8%, mill 16%. So like that, and whereas heat rate and boiler efficiency, that relationship is always given. So these things are put into the formulas, and we have tried to convert it into the cost just for making some decision-making process more effective. This is what finally it comes up, so we can have a module-wise boiler efficiency, coal moisture, CW inlet temperature, vacuum, blending, coal consumption, seasonal condition, part load management. So one can click and then enter the respective values and come out of the results on that. Ash handling plant utilization factors. Like this, 18-20 modules are prepared. They are discrete in nature, but they are also interlinked. So if I populate some input parameters, the boiler efficiency related input parameters, they get populated into the master database, and they are available if required for other models also. Every time they don't have to fill it up. So like this. Alternatively, there will be a master datasheet entry. You enter all the values there. what you have measured, and then you run, you will get system-wise entire breakdown as well as overall results, like where are we standing? We are gaining with respect to our best achieved, or we are losing with respect to best achieved. If we are gaining, it is good, we can strengthen to that. If we are losing, then we have to drill down that what are those areas we are going negative. So then respective model will also, there is a area-wise difference is given, that here we are losing, here we are gaining. So then we can work on it consciously. So this is what, like, system-wise calculations will come out. So where is negative, where is positive? Some arbitrary values I have just put it for the presentation purpose, and then one can act on it, like whether we have to take outages, or we have to do technology improvement, or we have to improve into the best practices available in other industry. We have to find out the solution. So these decisions can be made. The model will be useful for this. To sum up, as I already explained, this is nothing but a process of capturing the knowledge base available into the industry, and then establishing relationship of their impact on the heat rate as well as aux power. Wherever we felt that these things are related and we can establish some relationship with the given measurements, we have done that, and then it becomes simpler to convert into the financial term. So bird's eye view to the management on the technical aspect in economic terms. This is the thing. Then it sensitizes the focus on the areas of maximum cost optimization opportunities. So we can't say that, oh, my heat rate is this much. But if we go to the breakdown immediately, we will come to know it is the aux power increment, it is happening, or some other maintenance practices we are using. Those backup can be always seen, or coal blending opportunities we can explore here. Then performance overall O&M function in economic terms we can get it. As I already said, the cost of O&M is very less. Impact on the internal rate of return very less. So small increase in that, the benefits with respect to the heat rate aux power can be greatly achieved on that. Similarly, economic parameter deviation and aux power, effectiveness on part load management, and tool is effective monitoring control O&M business of the overall power plant. So this is what I wanted to present in this.
Hale, for your presentation.
So,
very insightful.
I finished with this presentation. I hope that you guys have was able to see the presentation. I could not get the feedback.
Yes, we were. Mr. Mahale would request you to stop.
Over to you.
I would request you to stop sharing your screen so that we can put you in the full frame. Can you stop sharing your screen, Mr. Mahale? Yes. So
hello.
Now we can see you. Yes. Thank you so much, Mr. Mahale, for your presentation. It was very insightful, and there are some participants who have questions from you as well. What we'll do is we'll take all the questions after the presentations are done. So I would request all those who have questions to raise your hand.
What I have to do?
Mr. Mahale, I'd request you to stay on and see the presentations by other speakers. There are a few questions that have come in from participants, and we can take those questions after everybody concludes the presentation. So please stay with us.
Yeah.
Now we'll move on, and I will request Mr. Sameer Ranjan Swain, Chief Engineer of Jindal Steel and Power, to please start with his presentation. Mr. Swain, I would request you to please turn your video on. And we will take up queries from participants towards the end of this session. Mr. Ranjan, at any point of time, if you have any bandwidth issues, you can step down to the low bandwidth option that we have, or you can keep presenting and turn your video off so that we can hear your audio properly and everybody can have the benefit of seeing your presentation. Mr. Swain, can you hear me?
Hi. Yes, ma'am.
I would request you to turn your video on, sir.
Ma'am, actually, in my laptop there is no camera, so I will show my presentation without my video.
Right. So, can you start sharing your screen so that we can see your presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
And just for all our participants, please keep your questions coming in. Our speakers are here and they will take up all your questions towards the end of this session after the presentations are done.
Okay, good morning,
Yes, Mr. Swain.
everyone.
We can see your presentation. Would request you to make it full screen and then please take it forward.
Okay, my screen is it is visible to everyone.
We can see your screen, so you just need to make a presentation in full screen and start.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
Steel plant of 4.5 million ton capacity, and we are supplying power to our customer, that is a steel plant. We have 6 numbers of units, each having a capacity of 135 megawatt. Each unit has one boiler and one turbine TG set. The boiler is of CFBC kind of boiler, circulating fluidized bed combustion. Before starting this, let me tell you, in our plant, the steel load is very variable. The variation of load is in the range of 0 to 180 megawatt because of the electric arc furnace. Due to that reason, we are regulating our load or generation to control the inform power, that is the on scheduled power, meeting the requirement of steel plant. Our presentation is on as defined, it is a plant heat rate reduction. This is a simple single line diagram of any power plant. We have the boiler of CFBC kind. It is a single reheat, natural circulation, a single drum. The capacity is 460 ton per hour, and the pressure temperature is 140 kg and 540 degrees centigrade. This is our TG set. The generator is of 135 megawatt. So we have 6 numbers of units. Total it is 810 megawatt unit. Then it is a turbine, multi-cylinder turbine, HP, IP, and LP with reheater. The heat rate is, what is heat rate? First, heat rate is nothing but the amount of chemical energy that we are supplying to produce 1 unit of power. And the net heat rate is the heat which we are supplying to produce 1 unit of net power after reduction of auxiliary from the gross generation. Basically, the main reason for the heat loss is because of the following parameters. That is boiler oxygen, flue gas temperature at APH outlet temperature, main steam temperature, reheater steam temperature, main steam pressure, superheater spray, reheater spray, and vacuum. So as I have said earlier, that our load is very variable, means in a day we are varying the load around 50 times from to maintain the variation of 0 to 180 megawatt. So because of that, there is we are facing a lot of problem to maintain these parameters value as per the design value. As because as we know that as we deviate from these parameters from the design value, if the actual parameter deviates from the design value, then there will be the it will result in the loss of heat in the form of flue gas, in the form of heat. So we have observed that because of these variations, how our deviation of parameters impacts the heat rate is as given in the table. For example, suppose our unit is running at 135 megawatt and our design temperature is 535, and if we are maintaining the main steam temperature at 530, that is -5 degree from the design value, then there is a heat deviation is around 3 kilocalorie per kilowatt hour. That means for 1 unit there is a deviation of 3 kilocalorie in turbine heat rate, which impacts, if you calculate in terms of money, in a month we are losing 2 lakhs. This I have considered, calculated by considering the coal cost as 0.65 rupees per megacal. Similarly, reheated temperature, if it deviates by 5 degree from the design value, then the deviation of heat rate is 3.15 in THR, which is again equivalent to 2 lakhs per month in terms of rupees. In case of main steam temperature, suppose our design temperature is 13.24 MPa, and if you are maintaining it at 13.14, so there is a loss of 0.5 pressure, which counts around 2 kilocalorie per kilowatt THR, turbine heat rate, which is equivalent to 1.2 lakhs. Similarly, if there is a design reheater pressure drop is 8, if it is 9 in actual, then we are losing 1 kilocalorie per kilowatt hour of heat, which is equivalent to 64,000. In case of vacuum, the design vacuum is 89.87 kilopascal. If we are deviating by 5 kilopascal, 0.5 kilopascal, then it becomes loss of turbine heat rate is 10 kilocalorie per kilowatt hour, which is equivalent to 6 lakhs. Similarly, in makeup percentage, if we are increasing makeup by 1%, as per design, in ideal case it is 0, but if it is deviating by 1%, then the loss of heat rate is 5.46 kilocalorie per kilowatt per unit, which is equivalent to 3.5 lakhs per month. In case of superheater spray, if there is a more than 1%, if you are spraying in superheater, then it will become 1 kilocalorie per kilowatt hour of turbine heat rate loss, which is equal to 62,000 per month. In reheater spray, similarly, if it is 1%, then the heat rate loss will be 4.6, which is equal to 2.9 kilocalorie. Also, as shown in my earlier sheet, that in boiler efficiency, if 2% we are increasing the boiler efficiency, then there is a boiler efficiency will reduce. If we will increase the oxygen by 2%, then the boiler efficiency will reduce by 1%. And in case of flue gas temperature, if we increase the flue gas temperature by 20 degree from design, then the boiler efficiency will again reduce by 1%. Secondly, in the line of auxiliary power saving,
Sorry to
we
interrupt.
have
I cannot see your presentation.
yes.
Can you please reshare your presentation?
Okay, sir, I'm doing it. Yes, in the area of auxiliary power saving, because as I have told earlier that the net heat rate is nothing but how much energy I am giving to produce 1 unit of net energy. That means
You have to
after
select
deducting of
the-
from gross heat rate. Sir, it is visible, sir.
Okay.
So in auxiliary, we have done a lot of in-house retrofitting and energy saving measures. For example, in CEP, we have then in DMCCW also we have done impeller trimming, which contributes 22 kilowatt power saving. In ESP hoppers, in city fans, we have replaced the blades from GRP to FRP. Here we have saved around 1 kilowatt of energy. In ESP, we have ESP hoppers, and we found that those heaters are in on condition. From there, we have saved around 170 kilowatt. In BFP, there is a passing in recirculation valve. We have rectified it. Leakage in APH tubes in the boiler. There also we have saved energy. In instrument air compressor, we have reduced the pressure. After analyzing the process, we have see the recirculation line instead of running the pumps for SSF operation, and we have saved a lot of energy there also. In our scanner fan in boiler, we have scanner fans. Scanner fans saving also is possible by providing cooling air line from the PA duct itself. Then in APH, we are timer mode operation was there earlier, but after fitting the probes, we could able to run the AHP system in probe mode, and there is also a saving of energy. In CityMaker pump, earlier there is a pump which is supplying for CityMaker, but we saw that it has a gravity flow option is there, because the height of the CityMaker reservoir is higher than the cooling water city basin. So we just use that gravity power of the water, and we are able to get the water without running the pump for CityMaker, and there is a state saving of 60 kilowatt. And after this also, sir, we are doing a lot of things. Now we are planning to incorporate the VFD in our SFM, which is running with a very lower load in this line of saving of energy. Thank you, sir. My presentation ends here, sir. Thank you.
Head of EENG NTPC Limited to please make his presentation. Manoj sir, would request you to please unmute yourself and turn your video on. Manoj sir, we are unable to hear you, so we request you to please unmute yourself. Akshay, can you just see what is happening, because we can't hear Manoj sir. Manoj sir, can you hear me?
In the meantime, Akshay, kindly assist or tell the technical team to reach him and resolve the problem. In the meantime, Anisha, take some questions which are
Yes.
prompting up.
Yes, we are seeing some questions. So we have Mr. Subodh Nigam asking a question. I'm providing him a mic. And Mr. Nigam, please turn on your camera and go ahead and ask your question.
My question is to Mr. Mahale.
Yeah, sir.
Audible? Yeah. Mr. Mahale, please put some more light on the effect of this turbine inlet steam pressure, which you told on the efficiency, particularly under the low load operation. Given that in totality, somewhat lower pressure at reduced load will actually reduce the throttling process, and the throttling losses will certainly get reduced. So, to what extent this reduction in main steam pressure at a turbine inlet is helpful? Have you got some thing to say?
Yeah, regarding the turbine inlet pressure at low load operation, this is not considered in the this is in the model, because when we reduce the throttling can be reduced because there is a margin in the valves, we can achieve that. So that part is we are not considered for the low load operation pressure point. Is a normal operating condition, throttle pressure.
So it is not a straight cut, something like that, which you said. This is okay for full load operation, but most of the time, as most of the thermal stations used to run on partial load, so then it has to be a prudent decision as to what the initial steam pressure should be. Is it so?
But sir, that sequential mode operation will take care of that, and there is already curve given that, like characteristic curve is there based on the mode. So it takes care of that. Therefore, we cannot establish, in my view, a very clear cut formula for that.
That is what I am talking about.
Therefore,
okay.
Right. Thank you for your question, Mr. Nigam. Let me bring on our next question, and this is from Mr. Ashish Kumar Dab. Mr. Ashish, please unmute yourself, turn on your camera, and go ahead and ask your question.
This question is for Samir Ranjan Swine, sir.
Right. Go ahead, ask your question.
Sir, in the second slide, you have said you have compared your actual parameter with the design parameter, that is for DM makeup 0 and superheater atom percent flow 0. Is it possible in a power plant to get 0 DM makeup or superheater spray 0?
No, sir, it is not possible, sir. It is. I have shown it in ideal.
Okay. Then the second question is, what is the best result you have achieved in your plant?
Sir, we are at full load. Our hit rate is coming 2500. As per design, it is 2494, and at full load we have experimented and we have seen that our hit rate is 2485. It is coming, sir.
No. I am asking regarding DM makeup and superheater spray percentage. DM makeup percentage is the best result you have achieved.
Yes, sir. DM makeup, sir, 1.25% we have achieved, sir.
Oh, this is too high.
Sir,
this is also too high. So what action you have taken?
Sir, we are regularly monitoring from where we are having some leakages. We are identifying those leakages. We are attending those leakages, especially.
And to reduce superheater spray in your plant, sir, if you share kindly.
We are having a flue gas adjustment dampers. So by regulating those dampers, sir, we are trying to first maintain the temperatures. After that, we are using this spray, sir.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Let me just check with Manoj sir if he can hear us. Manoj sir, could you unmute yourself? And if you can hear us, can you unmute yourself? I think he's still having a problem. So let's just, okay. Yes, we see him finally. I think there is a connectivity issue. Manoj sir, if you can hear us, please go ahead.
You could probably also select a low definition version from the below
The
button,
options, yes.
so
Use
that the internet connectivity can be resolved with this low definition.
If you can see right next to the record button, there is an HD tab. So if you just press on the tab and select the low definition version, we'll be able to see you.
Probably you can take few questions which are
More questions?
yeah.
Yes, let's take a few more questions. So let's bring on Abhinav Trivedi, who has another question. Mr. Trivedi, please start your camera and go ahead and ask your question. Mr. Trivedi, please start your camera. Go ahead and ask your question.
My question to Mr. Amol Mahle. Sir, as per my experience, if you reduce the MS pressure, it is also going to impact on our HP turbine efficiency. One side, we are getting the improvement in the throttling loss, but other side, our HP turbine efficiency reduces. So what is your opinion?
No, in this case, I am going by the design recommendation. Design recommendation, whatever the impact on the efficiency they are given, we have considered for the modeling purpose as such.
Decrease in the efficiency of HP turbine if we reduce the MS pressure.
Been able to hear the question?
What is his experience if you reduce the MS pressure, whether their efficiency is reducing or not in
Connect over.
Mr. Spain, would request you to unmute yourself and answer this question. Mr. Swain, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Please unmute yourself and start.
Was I audible?
Question.
Yes, yes.
Mr. Swain, please go ahead. Tell us your answer.
Can you please repeat the question, ma'am, please?
Mr. Trivedi, can you repeat your question, please?
No. My question is to Mr. Amol Mahle only. Have you experienced this reduction in HP turbine efficiency if you reduce the MS pressure?
No.
Okay, Mr. Mahle, you could answer that.
We have not experienced that one, but that's what I said. We are going by the rule given by the OEM. That is what.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's take another question.
One point is there in one of the plant we have experienced in the sense that when there was a large deviation, that time we have experienced this. And then there were coming to the loading issue was also coming. So different kind of problem was coming later on.
All right, so we have the Chief Engineer, SSTPP, MPP CGL, now joining in to ask a question. Would request you to please start your camera and ask a question.
My voice is coming to you?
Yes,
Hello?
Please go ahead. Yes, we can hear. Please ask your question.
Mr. Samir Ranjan sir, in his presentation, he showed that he has reduced the air compressor pressure from 7 to 6 kg per centimeter square and got the benefit of and saved thus 46 kilowatt. by doing this modification. Then what is the load and unload pressure after the modification in air compressor?
Mr. Swain, would request you to answer that question.
Actually, exactly now I am not able to remember. I have to get back with the data, sir.
Right. Perhaps you can share your
later.
email. Yeah, you can share your email and then you can share this data.
Yes,
yes. Okay.
Right. Manoj sir, we did see you. Could you turn on your camera? And yes, we see you, sir. You'll have to unmute yourself so that we can hear you as well.
Yeah.
Yes, that's loud and clear, sir. Thank you so much for joining us here. And a quick introduction, Mr. Manoj Bansal. He's head of EEMG NTPC Limited. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Please go ahead with your presentation.
Thank you, ma'am. Very good morning to all of you. I would like to thank Mission Energy for giving me an opportunity to speak. I'm just starting to share my presentation. Is it visible?
Yes, we can see your presentation, sir. You can make it full screen and start.
Yeah, thank you. As we are all aware that in India, we are having nearly 62% of our installed capacity is coming from thermal power plants. And of course, scenario is changing at a fast pace, and we are moving towards renewable. But in thermal plants, reducing net heat rate is very important, as it will not only conserve fossil fuel for future generation, it will also reduce our carbon footprints. And in NTPC, we are committed towards improving the efficiency of thermal power plants. I'm here at Singrauli, that is the first power plant of NTPC. So I'm giving just an introduction to Singrauli Super Thermal Power Station.
Manoj, sorry to interrupt you. Please put your screen presentation on full screen mode.
Yeah, it is in presentation mode and in full screen.
Okay.
Just a minute.
No, you have to put it on full screen.
Okay. In NTPC, we started our journey in the year 1982 with the synchronization of first unit of NTPC, that was Singrauli, first unit 200 megawatt. And in a short span of nearly 39 years, we have moved to more than 64,000 megawatt capacity. If we see the fuel mix, most of the power is from, of course, coal-based thermal power plants. We have our presence in gas-based power plants, of course, in hydropower plants, small hydro, renewable, that is mostly solar power. 1000 megawatt is coming from solar power, 50 megawatt wind power, and 12,700 megawatt from JVs. Singrauli is the flagship power station of NTPC. It is having 2000 megawatt installed capacity. On stage 1 having 5 units of 200 megawatt, and stage 2 having 2 units of 500 megawatt. And we are getting the coal from NCL to our MGR racks, and our beneficiary states are UP, Rajasthan, Punjab, Uttarakhand and Haryana. And our water source is GB Pant Sagar Dam, that is also known as Rihan Dam. If you see, we are operating a very age-old fleet. Our units are from 33 years to 39 years old, and we have started our R&M in 2006-07 and the second phase in 2014-15. Still, even after 39 years of operation, our first unit is creating records, and even COVID-19 could not deter our spirit of excellence. NTPC Singrauli Unit 1 emerged as the top performing unit in the first quarter of the financial year. And our first chairman of NTPC, Dr. D.V. Kapoor, congratulated our present CMD for this excellence. And that's not all. Even after the 10 months of this financial year, Singrauli Unit 1 is still at the first position in All India CA ranking and operating at a PLF of 100.26% from April 20 to January 21, and it is ranked at number 1. And we have just celebrated our generation day, that is the first synchronization day of Singrauli first unit, that was on 13th February. So on 13th February, this unit has completed 39 years, is still operating at a more than 100% PLF. In if you see the Singrauli PLF, we are always ahead of All India PLF, and our PLF is always very good because we are supplying very cheap power. Our fixed cost is very low. That's why we are getting even full schedule also. That's not all. We are still going on reducing our net heat rate, and we are continuously improving our previous years for reducing net heat rate. Like Mr. Amol and Mr. Sven said, we are also using softwares to see the gap between design heat rate and actual heat rate. We are using extensive use of TLA software to bridge this HR gap or the heat rate gap, and we are having a daily discussion on our daily planning meeting for heat rate deviating parameters and taking corrective actions. We are also doing performance testing of different equipments, and based on the reports, we are taking corrective actions. We have online energy management system that is giving the real-time picture of the different auxiliaries, and from that we can decide which auxiliary is taking more power, and we can do for the changeover, or we can take it for the maintenance. We are also having a knowledge management portal through GPI Learn. From that, we are covering a large scale of employees, and our all O&M employees will be covered by this. And we are installing variable frequency drives and solar rooftop modules to reduce our auxiliary power consumption. That will also reduce our net heat rate. If we see the component wise what we are doing in reducing net heat rate, if you see the boiler dry flue gas losses, that is mainly we are doing APH seal and basket replacement during overhauls. We are doing extensive insulation survey and attending the radiation losses. We are addressing the draft power issues by attending the duct leakages from time to time. And we are replacing expansion bellows during overhaul. We are also optimizing our suit blower operations and repair of electrostatic precipitator, penthouse air leaks, and improving the mill loading. That we are doing for a dry flue gas loss. Similarly, for unburnt carbon losses, we are correcting the poor mill finance issues. We are continuously adjusting mill fuel air ratios, optimizing the percentage of O2 so that there is a optimum combustion is taking place and CO is not generated. Replacement of damaged mill grinding and bullring segments. Similarly, restoration of damaged and eroded coal pipes, orifices and nozzles. And we are also adjusting mill classifier vane setting depending upon the chemistry mill fineness report. Similarly, if we see the turbine efficiency issues, we are maintaining design, steam, inlet pressure and temperatures, taking repair, replacement of turbine rotor, turbine blades, and turbine gland packings, and we are also attending high energy drain valve passings. Similar to the software shown by Mr. Amol, we are also having thermal loss analysis software in which all important parameters like main steam temperature, main steam pressor, condenser
Sorry to
vacuum.
interrupt. Sorry to interrupt, Manojji. Your slides
Yeah.
are not changing. I cannot see slides changing.
Okay.
Yeah, please put it on full screen mode. It was not on full screen mode yet.
It is still in full screen mode.
Okay, we were not able to see that, but yeah, now the slides are changing. Thank you.
Okay. Then we are addressing means heat rate deviating parameters and taking the corrective actions in the real time basis, and we are bridging the heat rate gap from the design and actual values, and in that software monetary values are also shown, so that makes operating engineer sensitive to the losses which are taking place in real time. Similarly, for reducing net heat rate in a condenser, we are checking air ingress in condenser through helium leak detection system and attending it from time to time. And we are identifying and attending high energy or drain valve passing, that is increasing the loading on condenser. Similarly, we are cleaning the condenser water boxes and tubes on opportunities. During overhauling, we are doing the eddy current testing to identify a repair and even going for replacement of condenser tubes. We are also going for restoration of performance of steam ejectors, vacuum pumps, and in stage 1 we have common CW system for all 5 units. So we are optimizing number of CW pumps running on the different condenser parameters. So in winter season we are able to stop as much as 2 CW pumps, so reducing our auxiliary power consumption. That is helping in reducing net heat rate. Thank you. I have just completed my presentation, and I'm open to answer any queries.
Let us wait for few questions. Yeah, I have Mr. Tiwari. I'll just join him now. Yes, Mr. Tiwari, you could go ahead and ask your questions, please.
Yes, sir. Actually, I want to ask that
I would request
if
you to, before I ask you a question, I'll request you to turn on your camera.
Oh, probably my camera is not working.
No problem. Go ahead.
Okay. Actually, sir, this is a question for Manoj, sir. Whether in case of poor vacuum, you consider running at lower load or run at continuously higher load for that poor vacuum? What are the monetary benefits and disadvantages for that?
Yeah. First of all, so Vikalp, we will go for identifying the regions why we are getting this poor vacuum, and depending on the regions, we will take the corrective action. Suppose the poor vacuum is due to the air ingress, then we will go for attending the problems of air ingress. We'll try to find out the from where this air ingress is taking place. Suppose it may be due to the choking of at the mouth of condenser. In that case, we go for even a condenser water box cleaning.
Yeah.
We are doing it online also. By reducing the unit load, we are going for a condenser water box cleaning, and we are operating with one side of condenser process.
Sir, actually, can we just clean the condenser one side while with partial loading?
We have not cleaned a complete condenser, but we have cleaned condenser phase. At most of the times, there is accumulation of mud and suppose leaves and all other material is getting collected at the mouth of condenser, that we are cleaning. We are not cleaning complete condenser with the unit running.
Actually, when pass with high pressure cleaning, is it possible to clean the condenser with high pressure jets?
We have not tried with the running units. Of course, during
Okay,
overhaul,
okay.
we are doing that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Right. Let's also bring in the next question, which is from Ashish Kumar Dab. Mr. Kumar, please unmute yourself and ask a question. We cannot hear you, Mr. Dab. Please unmute yourself.
This is for Manoj sir. Manoj sir, you have discussed heat rate deviation due to various parameters, which is obviously in practice in all thermal power plant, but depends on today's situation. I want to know from you what action you have taken to reduce heat rate, considering two factors. One is part load operation, and second is grade slippage of coal in your plant.
Yeah, very good, Mr. Assis. If you first for part load operation, of course I agree. For part load operation, it is very difficult to maintain the means heat rate. But during part load operation, what we are doing, we are having the ranking of our different units, and based on the efficiency of units, we are reducing the load in less efficient units, so we can get a leverage on heat rate. And for your second query, that is on coal grade slippage. Now we have gone for third party sampling for to avoid this coal grade slippage. So we have Simfer, which is doing the third party sampling for us. So with the help of Simfer, we are able to reduce the grade slippage and with that we have improved our ECR.
All right. We have Mr. Manohar Lal Jaiswal who has this question. Mr. Jaiswal, go ahead and ask your question.
Good afternoon, sir. There is a question: what problem due to high vacuum on supercritical turbine?
Who do you want to ask the question to, Mr. Jaiswal?
What problem due to high vacuum on supercritical turbine? To Manoj sir.
Yeah. Mr. Manohar, I think for supercritical turbines also, if we are operating in a high vacuum, we are deviating from the design heat rate. So this is again in case of supercritical units also, we will identify the regions of poor vacuum and we'll address that.
All right. Chief Engineer SSTCC MPPCGL Khandwa is asking the next question.
High vacuum
Please go ahead and ask a question. I think we have the problem connecting with the Chief Engineer at SSTCC. So, Mr. Trivedi, go ahead and ask your question. Mr. Trivedi, please ask your question.
My question is to Manoj ji. Sir, when we stop the CW pump, our condenser delta T increases. What is the limit of condenser delta T?
For that, you have to see your design values of delta T. Of course, we are means stopping the CW pumps based on our delta T only. When the delta T is permitting, then only we are stopping the CW pumps.
No, but should we see the delta T or we can see the condenser outer temperature? Suppose our delta T is 15 degree, but still condenser outer temperature is 38 and 40 degree in winter season. What should you?
we are seeing the delta T, or difference between CW inlet and outlet temperature from the design value, deviation from that.
Right. We have Mr. Tankule, who's now asking his question. Please go ahead, ask your question.
So my question is, are you using CO parameter in combustion control auto loop?
And this question is from Manoj sir.
Sorry?
Is your question from Manoj sir or Amolji?
This is from Manoj sir.
All right, Manoj sir, could you answer this question, please?
Yeah. Yes, Sankuleji. Of course, in combustion, we are continuously watching the CO value, and whenever oxygen is reducing by a certain percentage, there is a quantum jump in CO, and that suggests that combustion is not taking properly in our furnace. So we are increasing the O2. But as you have asked, this is not in auto loop. CO monitoring is not in auto.
So we have Mr. Manohar Lal Jaiswal also asking his question. Go ahead, Mr. Jaiswal, ask your question.
Hello.
Yes, Mr. Jaiswal, go ahead.
Due to load variation, there is change in vacuum. How to avoid this change in vacuum?
Are you asking Manoj sir?
Yes, yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Jaswalji,
go ahead.
Due to load variation, there is change in vacuum. How to avoid the change in vacuum?
Again, you have to find the regions why there is a change in vacuum. Then only we can take the corrective actions. You have to see the for the regions.
All right. I hope that answers your question, Mr. Jaiswal. You're on mute. You will have to unmute yourself. Is your question answered?
Hello.
Mr. Lal, is your question answered?
Ma'am, my question is due to load variation, there is change in vacuum. How to avoid change in vacuum?
Yeah, Mr. Jaiswal, you have to see the regions why there is a change in vacuum. There may be a hardware level increase. There may be CW temperature rise. There may be suppose drains are passing or any other regions. So for first you have to find out the regions for taking the corrective actions. It may happen that your steam ejector or the condenser vacuum pump is not working properly at part loads. You have to find out the regions.
Okay.
Right. Now we have Mr. Ankit Kumar Jain, who is joining to ask his question. Mr. Jain, please turn on your camera and go ahead and ask your question.
Hello, good afternoon, sir. My question is, sir, we have a 500 megawatt BHEL boiler in our plant. We have always need a more attenuation in left side as compared to right side, and we are running with the MS temperature deviation in left and right side, and our SADC is 100. So what is the reason behind it, sir? Is this audible, sir?
Yes, Manoj sir, if you could, the question is for Manoj sir.
Yeah, well, Mr. Ankit, I have heard your questions, and for the difference in MS temperature on the left and right side and the difference in the spray, I think you have to contact the OEM, and OEM can answer it in a better way, because in many of our plants also we have faced this problem, and BHEL was able to rectify the issues. So you have to contact the OEM for that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Right. We have Chief Engineer SSTP from Khandwa joining us. Please go ahead, ask your question.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear
Yeah,
you. Please go ahead.
First of all, congratulations to you for continuous running of unit from last 39 years. And my question is that, sir, what you have done continuously measure work in that unit to run this unit continuously from the 39 years. Major work you have done in that unit, major replacement done in that unit.
Thank you, sir. Of course, we are operating very well from last 39 years. We have done major R&M in these units. We have replaced reheater coils and economizer coils in boiler. Similarly, we have done great work in also we have replaced our control room with DDC MIS, and we have replaced scanners, and feeder motors are replaced with variable frequency drives. These are the some of the major works we are doing. We are doing timely overhaul of the units. That is the key for running our units for such a longer time and at 100% PLF. I hope I have answered your query.
Yes, we have a question from Mr. Mayank Pathak also. He's with JSW Barmer. Mr. Pathak, please unmute yourself, turn on your camera, and go ahead and ask your question.
Sir, I have one question regarding to our CFBC boiler. We have the 135 megawatt CFBC boiler, and we are and there are some ash deposition in the boiler second pass, and it's a kind of hard deposit. And we are also feeding some lime to minimize the effect of SOx. So we have some sulfur in coal. So what is the main reason to deposit in the second pass and kind of hard deposition?
The question is from Manoj sir.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have much experience in this CFBC boiler, but for these deposits, you can take the help from some experts in chemistry, and they will analyze, like in our NTPC. Is what are these deposits and how they can be removed. So you have to take some expert advice on that by giving a sample of that tube. I hope I have answered your query.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Now we have Mr. Chandrasekhar also joining in to ask his question. Mr. Chandrasekhar, go ahead and ask your question. Please turn on your. Yes, Mr. Chandrasekhar, could you please go ahead and ask your question? I think there is a lag for. Yes. Yes, sir. Please go ahead, ask your question.
So exhaust temperature is as per the design temperature only. So, hello.
Yes, go ahead, ask your question.
Exhaust temperature is as per the design temperature, that is at 48 degree. So still the vacuum is at lower side only. So what is the probable reasons for that? To Manoj sir.
I'm not able to understand your question clearly, Mr. Chandrasekhar. Can you repeat it? I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. The turbine exhaust steam temperature is at as per the design 48 degrees. So our design temperature is 48. So vacuum should maintain at higher side, means design for as per it is 0.9 only. So but it is maintaining lower side 0.8, 5, 8, 6 like that. So what is the probable reason for that?
Again, I think the same answer for vacuum related issues. You have to find out the regions. If you have the vacuum pumps, you have to check the vacuum pumps. Do you have a vacuum pumps?
No, sir. Steam jet electro pumps.
Then you have a steam ejectors. Then you can increase the number of ejectors, and you can check whether with 2 ejectors you are able to get the designed vacuum.
Okay, now for running condition, whether we have to go for 2 this electrons, 2 electrons.
Similarly, for other regions, there may be air ingress is there, so you can go for a helium leak detection test.
That we are checking, sir, that there is no
Air leakages, and you can
detection,
attend that.
any leakages. Still, that exhaust steam temperature is at design only, but vacuum is at lower side.
I think you have to do complete analysis of the different values that can affect the vacuum. Then only you can get a corrective action.
Let's take another question.
Anisha, just to take your attention to the tab which is called questions. There are many questions people have typed because they are not able to come on the stage. But you can take them after you take Anisha's.
Mr. Dab's question. I'll take some of those questions as well. Mr. Dab, go ahead, ask a question.
Yes. Manoj sir, just one thing I want to discuss with you. Suppose unit is running at part load, technical minimum load, and vacuum is maintaining with 2 CW pump, well within range. Okay. Now, for due to higher scheduling, load has to be increased. Load has to be increased 75% or 80% MCR. And suppose CW inlet outlet temperature difference is okay. Where is design value 9.92? Now my question is, at what delta T I should go for third CW? Suppose delta T is increasing with the increasing of load 9.92, 10, 11, 12, 13. At what delta T I should go for third CW, because it is a matter of efficiency.
Do you have a design is with 3 CW pumps?
Yeah. 3 CW for pump for 100% MCR, but suppose unit is running at TML, technical minimum load, with 2 CW. But due to flexibilization, load has to be increased throughout the day on several times. So at what delta T I should go for third CW?
I hope as soon as your delta T increasing, suppose more than the design value, you have to take the third CW. But again, it depends on practical issues, like for how much time you have to run at a higher load. Suppose after 2 or 3 blocks, again you have to reduce the load. Then there is no meaning of again starting and stopping of CW pumps.
No, that is another thing, sir. But my technical question is it feasible or is it effective to start third CW pump beyond design TTD, or I have to wait for some more degree, suppose 9.9 to 10, 11, 12?
Certainly, you can wait for 2 more degrees. And because again, frequent starting and stopping of CW pumps may lead to the motor failure. So you have to see the all other practical issues also, apart from the design value and heat rate.
Actually, sir, actually one thing, other than delta T, all parameters are very good. Vacuum is good, everything is good, but delta T is increasing. Delta T is increasing due to higher load scheduling. But taking third CW, it will increase the APC. That is the only factor.
I think you can certainly wait for a few more degrees, 2 or 3 degrees before starting the third CW pumps.
Is there, sir, any thumb rule in your plant? Is there any standard thumb rule?
We have a software from there that we can see what is the difference in vacuum and how much losses we are incurring due to that, and that analysis helps.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll take up some of the questions that have been asked on the forum as well. There is a question, Manoj, sir, if you can answer. Are you using CO parameter in combustion control auto loop?
Just a minute, I have to see the question.
I'll read out the question for you. The question is, are you using CO parameter in combustion control auto loop?
Certainly, we are using CO as a very important parameter for looking at complete combustion. And whenever there is an increase in CO, we are increasing the O2 so that CO comes within a range of 50 ppm.
Right. We have a question from Mr. Chandrasekhar that the exhaust steam temperature is at a lower side, and that is the design temperature of 48 degrees, but still the vacuum is on the lower side. Amol, would you like to take this question about the exhaust steam temperature?
No, I won't be able to give much light on that because it requires more information on the subject. But they can check alternatively the temperature at the CEP inlet and check exactly by the what is the saturation pressure at that time, and they can correlate and see whether it is like that or not, or some other issue. But more than that, I won't be able to put any light on it.
Okay. We have another question coming in. Actually, we have two more questions where we have Alok Rajdev Yadav asking a question. He's raised his hand. So, Mr. Yadav, go ahead to turn on your camera and ask your question. I think there is a lag. I don't see him yet. Let me go for the next question as well. Yes, Mr. Alok Yadav, go ahead, ask your question.
Hello.
Yes, please
My
go
question
ahead.
is to Manoj sir. Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Ji. Manoj sir, in our 600 megawatt unit, turbine shaft vibration is increasing when we operate on TMM, technical minimum. So what could be the reason of this?
For turbine shaft vibration, you have to go for in-depth analysis. But the primary reason, or sometimes if it is happening only on part load, we have experienced a similar problem, and that was due to the gland steam temperature or pressure parameters. So you just watch the turbine vibration with respect to gland steam temperature and pressure. You may find the region there if it is okay at full load.
Sir, but bearing vibration is not in, it's in limit. Only shaft vibration is increasing.
Yeah, that was happening in our case also, and the region was not maintaining, not able to maintain gland steam parameters. There may be other regions also, but you can just check this region.
Right, we have Mr. Sankule asking his question. Mr. Sankule, go ahead, ask your question.
Sir, I have to ask where we have to use the 50 ppm range of CO at boiler. At which location?
We have CO monitors at the same location where we have O2 probes are there. So that is at the APH inlet.
I hope that answers your question, Mr. Sankule.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'll take one question which has come on the forum of the questions. The question is, and it's coming from Mr. Pathak. What is the main cause of boiler second pass deposition and online cleaning mechanism apart from soot blower? Manoj, would you like to take it up?
Sorry, we have only soot blowers are there in second pass. We have long retractable soot blowers or LRSB in the second pass. That is the only way we are doing that.
All right. Mr. Sankule is okay. Do you have a subsequent question? Please go ahead, ask your question, Mr. Sankule. You're muted, Mr. Sankule. We cannot hear you. Please unmute yourself.
Yeah, unmuted. I have a question. Wait. Please give some suggestion to reduce SH and RH attenuation. Superheater and reheater attenuation. This is for Manoj, sir.
Yeah. Yes, Mr. Sankule. For reducing attenuation, again you have to see the heat pickup in different heat exchangers, like different superheaters and reheaters. If heat pickup is not proper, then you may require attenuation. So you have to do the proper suit blowing, and suit blowing pressure setting is also very important for that.
All right. So let's take up the next question. I see Mr. Yadav has a question. Till Mr. Yadav comes on stage, so there is one question that is coming on the forum, and Mr. Yadav only has asked it. So since we had done RALF rectification work and washing, but again we have left and right side RALF temperature difference. So what are the reasons for the deviation? Manoj sir, could you take that up?
Again, I'm sorry, they have to consult OEM for that. OEM can answer better answer this, because there may be they have to see the design of their superheaters. There may be problem in their superheater configurations. So it is better to consult OEM for that.
All right. Let's take another question. Please go ahead, Chief Engineer. Yes.
Hello, sir. I was asking about that turbine vibration, turbine shaft vibration. Please elaborate about that. I didn't get the answer, please.
Means again.
Please ask a specific question. I mean, elaborate on turbine vibration. What is your question?
Yes, sir. Hello.
Yes, go ahead. Ask your question.
Yeah, when we operate on the TMM, the shaft vibration increases. Only shaft vibration increases on 2-3 points, but the bearing vibration remains normal.
Again, I will say that you have to go for a thorough analysis, because turbine vibration is a very sensitive area. So you have to go for thorough analysis. You have to compare the turbine vibration parameters with lot of other parameters. You have to see the lubile temperatures. You have to see the gland steam temperature. You have to see the gland steam pressure and many other parameters. So you first you do the online analysis of these parameters with respect to turbine vibrations. Which parameter is changing with the turbine when the turbine vibration is changing?
So there's a question coming in from Mohan MN. He's asking, is sonic soot blower effective in CFPC boiler?
I'm sorry, I'm not able to give answer to this query. I'm not having much idea about this sonic soot blower.
Right. So there's another question from Mr. Singh. He's asking, what will be the change in unburnt carbon with change in coal quality? What will be the variation?
Unburnt carbon may increase due to the various regions, and primarily region may be the coal quality and mill performance. If your milling system or the pulverizer system performance is poor, then unburnt particle may increase. That depends upon the size of the unburnt. If the size of unburnt is larger, then proper combustion is not taking place. First, you have to check the mill fineness.
Hello.
Right. Mr. Jaiswal, go ahead, ask your question.
Sir, my question is for Manoj sir. What are the major reasons for economizer tip failure? we are facing is this frequently.
I think for that you have to again see the do a thorough analysis of failure. Maybe there may be steam erosion may be there. You have to do the complete flow analysis and temperature. Suppose you have to see the metal temperatures. What is the metal temperature? Is if there is a temperature excursion is taking place, then you have to see the regions.
Sir, no, there is no metal excursion.
Then maybe the erosion of the tubes may be taking place here.
Sir, we have taken CAVD test also, but there is no reason for this metal excursion like this.
I'm sorry, I'm not able to give a clear-cut answer for this query.
Okay, sir.
Right. We'd like to thank our esteemed speakers for coming here and addressing all the queries that they've taken up on this forum. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much, Mr. Manoj Barsain and Mr. Amol Mahale. Pleasure to have you on our platform today, giving us your presentations on heat rate modeling and all the queries that you have answered. A big thank you to both of you and to Mr. Swain also for taking the time out and joining us this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, Nissan Energy.
After that, we will be talking about optimizing wall blowing and improving heat rate. So do come back for more.